Hey guys, welcome to the channel. What we're going to be doing today is an oil change and filter change on a 289, 302, or 351. In our case, it's going to be our 1995 Ford Mustang Cobra, which has two drain plugs. Some have only one drain plug and oil pan, but the 95 Cobra has two. So just keep a check on that, on what your pan actually has. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to be doing several segments of the video on doing a full tune-up to our 1995 Cobra, and we're going to be getting this thing on the road and making it run like it should. So what we're going to be doing, go ahead and dive in. We're going to be doing the oil change, we're going to be doing plugs, wires, distributor cap, rotary button, and that should get this car running like it should. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First thing I'm going to start with is going ahead and pulling off this plug right here where you would put your oil, so that whenever I take the lower drain plug out, I won't have no issue with any vacuum. It'll just simply drain right out. Now the first thing I'm going to do is going to be draining the oil and replacing the oil and oil filter. I'm going to be using this Royal Purple 5W20. Now 520 is what this car recommended factory. This car is a low mileage car, so we're going to be putting Royal Purple, and this time we're going to be going full synthetic. I'm going to be using a 5/8 socket. Put it right there, and I'm just going to use it to loosen up the plug just slightly, but not enough that the oil comes out. This car is a Cobra, so it also has a drain plug in the front of the pan as well. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that one up as well. Alright, now that's loose. I also have an oil canister to put all my oil. So just loosen up your drain plug and allow your oil to drain from the rear sump of the pan. Once all your oil is drained, make sure you clean off your surface, clean your plug, put your plug back in, and make sure you tighten it back down. You definitely don't want that right there to be loose. Be going down the road and then you lose it, lose all your oil, and lock up your engine. So make sure that's clean and make sure you tighten it back down. Loosening the front drain plug and then draining the oil that's in the front part of the pan. Okay, now that it's drained, we can clean it with a rag, wipe it off, and put our plug back in, and make sure you tighten that plug back up. Now, using just a simple oil removal tool for the filter, we're going to be removing the oil filter, which is right there. Put it around it, and then just loosen up the oil filter. And then you want to remove your oil filter and then replace that before we go to the top of the engine. Now's a good time to go ahead and get your rag and clean up everywhere that the oil got on the undercarriage of the car. You also want to get your rag, make sure that your rubber seal that was on your oil filter did not stick onto the side of your engine, and then you want to go ahead and clean all that up with a rag. That does cause a lot of problems. People will not check to see if that rubber gasket's stuck. They'll put their new oil filter on there, and then that gasket will blow out, causing them engine failure down the road. Before I put the oil filter on the car, I'm going to first fill the oil filter full of oil. The reason why you want to fill it full of oil first is because when you first crank your engine, you want to make sure that this right here is not empty, that it does have oil in it to siphon through the engine. Once you've done that, put your finger in the oil and then just rub it around the rubber seal so that you have a good adhesion for the seal up against your engine block. Screw it in and then hand tighten it as tight as you can by hand. Alright, I've got the oil filter in, so now we're just going to lower the car and start adding fluid to the engine. Now right here is where you definitely want to make sure that your car is completely level before adding oil to the engine, so that whenever you check the dipstick tube and the dipstick, that you know you're exactly where the level needs to be. So let's go ahead and start adding some oil. We're going to be using the Royal Purple Full Synthetic High Performance 5W20. Checking the cap. A lot of times it will tell you on the cap But on this car, I simply just looked it up in the manual. Now, if it was a high mileage car, I would have probably went up from 520 to 1030. Now, I'll wipe my dipstick again, reinsert it, and then check it again. Okay, as you can tell there, it shows that it's just a little bit high. The reason I added extra oil is because once I start this engine, let it run for a few seconds, that should lower back down. That was horsepower. Okay, now that my oil level is just a little bit above right where the full line is, I'm gonna go ahead and take the dipstick out, put the cap back on, and then we're going to crank the engine and let it run for about 30 seconds and then shut it off and then recheck our dipstick for our oil level. Okay, I've allowed it to run. The reason for that is with it running, your oil pump is circulating your oil, allowing it to circulate through the system. So any pockets that could have been low of oil now are filled with oil. So just simply recheck your dipstick, make sure your oil level is where it should be, and if it is, fantastic. But if not, make sure that you reinsert more oil until it is full. So now you can see there, it went from being full to now needing about a half a quart. So that right there is the importance of checking the oil after you've cranked it. So you don't have any low oil, you're running down the road and cause engine failure, damage to your bearings. So we're gonna go ahead, add another half quart, and then our oil change should be done. Now that right there completes an oil change on a 289, 302, 351. It's all the same basic process. Now this is a 95 Ford Mustang Cobra, and that's all it took. All it took was a 5 gallon and a quart of my oil, an oil filter, and simply just draining the pan and checking it multiple times after cranking. So that's going to be it for oil change for your small block 302 Ford Mustang Cobra. Thanks for watching, guys, and continue to check up on my videos. We're doing a full tune-up on this car. We're going to break it down into some sections. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them in the section. If there's any questions on anything you see in this video or any other video. Thanks for watching.